Hello, my name is Simi. Sorry, hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm going to speak loud enough. This is for our week 4 journal number 2, part 2, reflections and family perspectives. So I have a list here. It's mainly my notes for all of the questions that have been listed for our video journal, and to make sure that I hit and cover each of the questions that we're told to answer. So hopefully you guys can spare the noise and follow along with me. So number 1, what experiences and intercultural patterns from our textbook York 2016, pages 86 to 92, have most shaped your perspectives? So this is where I refer back to the book. And I have picked actually the first one because I relate most to it, personally. So intercultural pattern is where one family member has the power and authority to make the decisions. So for example, my experience would be my grandma or grandpa making the final decision in not a child kind of experience, but like power authority to make decisions. Where a family trip would be, or if I were to go out, if a family were to go out and what money they could spend, that authority would go back to the family member. Under child's experience, it says child is expected to obey, follow commands, and respect adult authority. Definitely not allowed to not follow or not obey any of the rules that are listed or that are set to the child. There's a lot of, as it says in the caregiving and teaching strategy, where the child may not look and make eye contact. I recall doing that as a child, where I would not look them in the eye because it was seen more as disrespectful, especially if you were being obeyed or disciplined after doing something that was in our terms would be unexpected behavior. So if my behavior was unexpected, I would not be looking the parent in the eye. So as a completely true statement, actually to this day, every once in a while, even being an adult, I can't make eye contact because it's seen as, well, are you following through with the discipline that I've given you or not? So now on to the caregiving and teaching strategy. Child may resist making activity and choices and may be uncomfortable looking adults in the eye or calling them by name. So that goes back to what I had said about not looking, so say the adult in the eye. Do not insist on eye contact. Be aware child may need your help in making choices. If a concern arises, try to connect with a powerful family member. So connecting not only with the parents, but you want to connect more with grandma and grandpa. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard with their generation due to the language barrier. I want to point out the part where it says do not insist on eye contact. Be aware child may need your help in making choices. Even to this day, sometimes language is such a barrier that trying to make decisions is one of the hardest things. It's like you're making a decision, and because of that cultural pattern that's listed, it's expected that the adult makes the decision, not the child. I am still seen as the child because I'm younger. The adult would again make the decision. So number 2, we're going to go on to. I'm so sorry if I'm taking up too much time, but I want to make sure I explain every question. Number 2, in what ways are your perspectives similar to your family's? This is where I'll bring in the cultural upbringing referring to personal and watching Pooja's family. So obviously the times I hang out with Pooja and her family. There is a lot of the traditional aspect where they want the child to obey, but there is some modernism where they want to ask the child what they want, making sure that it's not just the adult speaking. So they try to create a balance, but again, I get how it's hard. The cultural upbringing and trying to balance out seeing what Pooja wants, so then they're not arguing and they're not yelling back and forth, or Pooja may start yelling because, again, she's 4 years old. Number 3, in what ways are they different? So this is going to bring in more modern than the families. More different in personal experiences. They're more modern, so a lot more of asking what Pooja wants. That's what I did see in person, but more disciplinary actions. So in the ways that they're different, more modern in that sense, with the upbringing now, upbringing children nowadays, they want to see what the child wants, instead of causing, for the child to yell and scream because they don't want to completely follow through with the parent. So as much as that can be a similarity with how I am today, it's still different in the sense of what I expect, because they're an Indian family, so there's unfortunately, but there's certain expectations, but I think those expectations come because of how I was raised. So number 4 is, how might this impact your work with the child and family? Balancing Indian family expectations. So kind of as I mentioned, it's hard, the impact. Sometimes certain answers were like expected, especially when I was doing the assignment. I knew some of the answers, but obviously some answers were unexpected because of the expectations between Indian families. Again, I'm Punjabi, they're Fijian, and so they mainly speak Hindu or Hindi, but they're Hindu, so it's kind of an imbalance in the sense of, I don't have kids, they have kids, and so they want the upbringing to be a little different. So the last one is says to discuss connections and other Discuss connections and other course content such as understanding culture, developing culture competencies, implicit bias, and using your knowledge of families and other children's cultural practices to design and implement responsive practices. So this is where I stated the explicit bias to the attitudes and beliefs we have about a person or a group on a conscious level. It goes into how much of the time these biases and their expression arise as a direct result as a perceived threat. That's not really what I want to go into. I want to go into the first part, which again I'll state. Explicit bias refers to the attitudes and beliefs we have about a person or group on a conscious level. Subconsciously, I may think that the attitudes and beliefs could be biased in the sense that I might think that I might know their answer, but I might not. So that's kind of what I want to go into, but a little over time, so I might have to explain this later. Thank you so much for watching. All right, bye.